Hello everyone, get your fly bullets ready because we are firing off another video for you guys today, and this time it's a deck profile on yellow based armor control. So first off, we're gonna have 4 Fremons. Personally, I went with this egg because more than likely you're gonna have 3 or more security. You're not really gonna be at 3 or less a lot of the time. It does take a good while for your opponent to try and do that type of OTK stack, and then if they don't have the correct stack ready yet, they're usually just searching for their pieces. So you're more than likely gonna have 3 or more security. So the 1 DP does come in handy compared to the Upumon draw, essentially, because this is only with 3 or less, and you have to do a when attacking. This is just on your turn. But if it does happen, you do have the Opamon there for backup. I have seen it come up. It's just more than likely the Fremon's gonna come up more than anything. And you'll see later in these other cards. Next is Armadillomon. This just helps us search our pieces. He just searches any dual colored yellow card in our deck, and that's basically most of our deck. It's basically every armor we have, our high-end Digimon as well. So that's why we have him there as a 4 of. And if you don't really need to search, you can just Digivolve for a draw. Next we have Pillamon. This is a new Digimon that came out. It basically stops your opponent from playing Digimon by effect. So purple in general love playing Digimon by effects, and there's also the decks like Mastamon, for example. Mastamon in particular actually is probably like really high up there in a specific matchup that I can just pull up, I guess, that this would come up the most. There's other situations that could probably come up, like Melga X, they have like the BT1 Metal Guru that can spawn bodies from its sources. This basically stops that. Certain situations like that. There's very small situations where other colors can play Digimon by effects, but more than likely it's just to stop purple. It is what it is, especially against Mastamon, because DP reduction does kind of hurt this deck a lot. Next is Pulsemon. He's just there for a draw. That's basically all he's there for. Very rare does he come up for the 2 memory cost and the additional draw as well. You're not really going to play him for a 2-drop unless you can starve your opponent that way. Then I can see why you would do it, but he's just there for the draw. Next is Patamon. He's still a really powerful rookie with the whole Rapidmon and Cody combo, just like how Yellow Hybrids was using him. You just basically is only there for Rapidmon, and there's a new card, Pegasusmon, that does Digivolve onto a Patamon for 2. So we'll get onto that next in a bit. Next is Kazumon. We do have 7 Tamers down here, so 2 Kazumons is pretty good. You're always gonna have a hybrid for game in essentially almost every deck. There's certain decks that don't run hybrids, but hybrids is such a powerful mechanic that why wouldn't you run a hybrid or 2 in your deck, right? Next is one of the stars of the deck, Magnamon X. Magnamon. He is a really big blocker, and essentially he can unsuspend himself if your rookie does end up surviving. But he's just there just to basically be a big blocker, and if the more armors he has in trash, the bigger he gets. He gets 2,000 per armor in trash, so he just gets really huge. And with the new addition of Magnamon X, he does actually have another purpose as well. Next we'll go into this new armor that we got in BT9. It's Pegasusmon. So another reason why we have Patamon is because he does Digivolve for 2 on top of a Patamon instead for 3. So it's pretty essential, especially when most of our level 4s are a 4 cost or more. So that 2 cost does come in often. And I also like its effect where when Digivolving, one of your opponent's Digimon gains security attack -1 until the end of your opponent's turn. So a lot of the times, even if they don't have the big stack, they'll have rookies that they'll play to search, like Alphamon. They have a lot of Dorumons, Ryudamons that search, right? So they'll have like a bunch of them on board. You can just Digivolve into this, give one of those security attack -1, and it's like, oh look, they just have a Digimon that's just standing there looking pretty, not doing anything. So That's pretty much why we have him in here. Plus he's another blue-yellow armor. So that's pretty much the reason. Rapidmon, really powerful. You've seen him in the yellow hybrid deck as well. Just overall really strong. Suspend one of your opponent's Digimon for each turn you have in play when Digivolving, and then up to your 3 your opponent's suspended Digimon gets minus 5k DP for the turn. Honestly, a lot of the times I've just used it for basically just one tamer, right? You can use it for 2 a lot of the time, but almost always you're going to do it just for one tamer. Especially now in this meta, they're just going to have one big hefty stack, right? So it's just good in general. And if you do have the perfect setup with like TK and Cody on board, and Rapidmon just goes off, basically gets 2 bodies that get minus 5k, and then you swing Cody minuses 2. It's just a nice, really powerful board clear, you know. Next we go into our high end, which is Shakumon. He's still really good. You know, you could just Digivolve in general and he'll recover you from 5 or less security. And then in the times that you do want to DNA Digivolve, like a Pegasusmon and one other yellow champion, it could be Cosmon for example, you can go DNA Digivolve and then you'll heal and you can bounce, you know, basically the max it would be bouncing at level 6 if you have 6 security or not. And the inheritable is really good. It's kind of very often with Magnamon X as your level 6. Next we'll go into Magnamon X. This card is just absolutely insane. He doesn't even need to be in an armor deck essentially. It you know, it kind of want to be in an armor deck because you get to utilize both of his effects. But honestly, he Digivolves regularly for any blue or yellow level 5. But basically, this card warps from a Magnamon into Magna X for 4. It can basically be a blocker as long as you have an armor under him or the X antibody option. It's not your typical blocker. He switches the target of attack to him. And on top of that, on all turns, he has, when this Digimon was to be deleted, you may place the top card as a Digimon on top of your security stack face down to prevent the deletion. This card literally not only stops its own deletion, but also heals you. This is insane. The fact that this is even a card is just crazy. It's a good thing they made it a mega, because if this was a level 4, this would have been way too nuts of a card as a level 4, to be honest. It would have been like the next Rapidmon essentially. So it's a good thing they made him onto level 6. So that's some sort of limitation to him, I guess. Next we go into Omnimon Merciful mode. So this is another card in BT9 that came out. It's pretty good. It has a when Digivolving. Basically, if you have a Mega in traits, it's only going to be Magna X. It gets to delete a Digimon, so you're basically deleting Digimon, and then you place 10 cards from your opponent's trash at the bottom of their deck in any order. That's mostly relevant against decks like Beowstarmon. They want all their 7-cost options and their Beowstars in trash, so placing 10 cards from their trash to the bottom of their deck is just really insane. Even placing like something like a scatter mode is just really essential to them, because they can just get it back with Calling from Darkness, right? And just recycle and recycle. So putting that to the bottom of their deck is just really detrimental to them. It just slows them down so much. It gets rid of them, rid of their game basically. Like they can't really play the game at that point. And then at the start of your turn, you could trash this card basically. And if you do, you trash the top card of your opponent's security stack. So you go into Magna X. It doesn't matter how you get into him, whether it's a warp or you go directly to a level 6 from a 5. And then you go into Merciful mode, pop a Digimon, bot deck 10 cards from their trash, and then afterwards, at the start of your turn, trash this card basically, and then trash the top card of the security stack. Then you go back into a Magnamon X. Like, that's just insane. You literally just popped a Digimon, bot deck 10 cards from trash, and then trashed their security, and then you went back into a really strong blocker that heals you. That's insane. Next, we'll go into our options. Our first option is Blinding Ray. This is essentially just, you know, a gain 2 memory for us. A lot of the times I just hold on to this for the very last minute when I want to swing for a game. So if I really need to, I can swing into my opponent's security. If they have no security left, I can go into Blinding Ray, go into Cosmon Hybrid for game. That's essentially what that is. If you really need to extend your plays, then you can Blinding Ray to extend it, so that way you don't pass turn and make it more of a struggle for your opponent to deal with your board, right? Next is this new card, Awakening the Golden Knight. Basically, you can activate this card in any deck as long as you have armor, a Digimon with armor in its traits in play. But we're yellow anyway, so it doesn't matter, we can activate it. This essentially lets any of your Digimon with armor in its traits go straight into a Digimon card with Magnamon in its name for 3 cost. It doesn't pay its memory either. And when you do this, the Digimon that Digivolve with this effect can have its DP reduced by your opponent's effects until the end of your opponent's turn. So it can't even be DP reduced, which is really good, especially like for a deck like Armor. Armor's biggest weakness is DP reduction, which is only available to other colors except yellow, right? Mastamon is another deck that's really strong with DP reduction with Flame Hell Scythe. But basically, this essentially you can warp any of your armors into a Magnamon. Basically, these 2 armors into a Magnamon, a regular one, or you can go into Magnamon X. So you skipped from level 4 to level 5. Crazy. And then the security effect, you return 1 card with Magnamon in its name from your trash to your hand, and then you add this card to your hand. So you basically can recycle Magna X from your trash, add it to your hand, and then you go into your armor, have this in your hand, and go do it again, basically. Next is Yellow Memory Boost. It's just consistency piece. Searches for your yellow Digimon that you need. Most of your deck is yellow Digimon. And then later it's just a gain 2 memory, so it's really good. Next is our Tamers. 3 TKs. I mean, TK is one of the best Tamers in the game. Like, he helps you search your security for any piece that you need in case you don't have like memory boost or your rookies somehow, you know, it's just a really good tamer, and he's a memory setter. So next is Cody. He's still a really powerful tamer, especially with most of your cards being dual color. You're always going to gain the memory for having a little Digimon in play, and then with when you have something with 2 or more colors, you just swing and it gives something minus 2k. So that's the whole big combo with Rapidmon and Cody being together, like how it was in Yellow Hybrids, and it just basically clears a lot of things, even a Mega. And if it does end up being like a 6k Mega somehow, oh look at that, you have Fremon. You can actually swing over it now and you don't have to purge anymore. And even then, even if it's at 7k left, now you can have Rapidmon at 7k and actually clash with a 7k Digimon, and then still come on top because you armor purge from it. Not sure how that's fair, but you know, it's allowed. So this is my take on how armor control is. There is a few things you could probably, you know, mix match here and there. If you feel like it, you could probably add another merciful mode in there somehow, just to have another way to get on top of Magna X. Or if you really want a strong security, you know, 15k is a really good DP to swing into. Almost everything will die most of the time. Pillamon, you could probably switch it out for another rookie, maybe a vanilla if you really want to. That's up to you. You can also add the promo Patamons if you want, because Pegasusmon does Digivolve too from Patamon, so that's why this Patamon's in here is even more of a reason to have this Patamon in here, just because of Pegasusmon as well. The 2 cost does come up a lot, and then you can add the promo Patas, so you can, if you really need that healing, you can just go ahead and heal. And that's pretty much it. I mean, there's not much else you can probably add in here. There is another yellow armored Digimon, Nefertimon, but personally I don't like it too much just because of the fact you don't have the option to Digivolve for 2 on Patamons like how the Nefertimon does. That one Digivolves for 2 on Gatomon, which is another champion. Most Gatomons are champions. There's no rookie Gatomon in the game, I think. And you don't really want to go ahead and start adding Gatomons in here either, I believe. That's just a whole other deck. And basically all it does is just, you attack and you minus 2000 DP to any Digimon, which sounds pretty good, but honestly, more likely not going to come up, and it doesn't combo with Cody because it's now a dual color card. It's a yellow armor card, and that's it. But yeah, that's it. Thank you guys for watching. Comment, subscribe, let me know what you guys think of it, and I'll see you guys in the next video.